reading from Jessie Burton's The Miniaturist, which is a fabulous book. I have to admit, I'm only 3/4 of the way in, but it's great. So thank you for joining us, and I'm so glad you got the message, because we really didn't get the message out until very, very late that we were doing this, but we're really glad you joined. So we're going to start the reading in a couple of minutes, because we might be waiting for a couple of folks to join us. But just to let you know a little bit about T. Thomas Fine Ministries, if you guys don't know about the concept, but we are an online retailer. We also have an in-store piece as well, which I'll paint around here so that you can see a little bit more of the environment. But we have Fine Miniatures. We also host classes on miniature making, and we have a gallery which features fine artists who showcase works of art in miniature. So check us out online, follow us on Twitter, on Instagram. But we do want to say hello to JJ Kennedy, who is doing the reading today from The Miniaturist, and say hello.
Hi. It's my pleasure.
So whenever you're ready to begin,
Are you ready to begin?
We are ready.
All right. Well, we're going to go back to Amsterdam in 1686. And our story, again, The Miniaturist, and this is by Jessie Burton, is about a woman named Petronella Ortman. Ortman is her maiden name, and Petronella is really just called Nella now. She's our heroine. She's 18 years old, and she's wed to Johannes. Johannes is an older man, middle-aged, very rich merchant, and it seems the families had somehow arranged this marriage because Nella's family didn't have a lot of money, and Johannes didn't really have any marriage prospects, and it just seemed to work out for everybody. So they have a very brief ceremony. This is back in the hometown of Aslandelft. And then the husband goes back to Amsterdam, and Nella shows up about a month later so they can begin their life together. Johannes is rarely home, and when Nella gets there, she's greeted by Johannes's big, mysterious sister, Maren. And there are two servants, Cornelia and Otto. There are also two dogs, Rozeki and Dana, and Nella has brought her parakeet, Peebo. Nella returns to her room and attempts to write a letter to her mother explaining her predicament. But the words she chooses withhold their best qualities. They refuse to match the way she feels inside. Nella cannot describe her bafflement, her exchanges with Maren, her husband who speaks in all tongues save that of love, nor the servants whose worlds are hidden, whose laughter is another language too. Instead, she doodles names, Johannes, Otto, Toot, and draws a picture of Maren with a giant head, screwing up the paper in a ball and throwing it short of the fire. An hour later, the sounds of men's voices, barking dogs, and Johannes's laughter comes up the main staircase. Nella looks out of the window onto the canal path and sees three strong journeymen with ropes slung over their shoulders. They are stepping out of the house, their sleeves rolled up. By the time Nella has left her room, Maren is already in the hall. "Johannes," she hisses, "what on earth have you done?" Nella moves quietly along the landing and gasps when she sees what the three men have left in the hallway. In the middle of the tiles is a cabinet, an enormous looming structure, measuring nearly half Johannes's height again, a huge cupboard supported by 8 curved and sturdy feet, 2 mustard-colored velvet curtains drawn across its front. Having shunted the Bible lectern into the corner to make room, Johannes stands by its side. One hand rests upon it. He gazes up at the gleaming wood, his smile unrelenting. He seems refreshed, more handsome than Nella has ever seen him. Maren approaches the cabinet with caution, as if it might fall on her or start to move of its own accord. Rozeki backs away with a deep growl. "Is this a joke?" asks Maren. "How much did it cost?" "For once, sister, let us not talk of money," Johannes says. "You told me to find a distraction." "Not a monstrosity. Is that saffron dye in those curtains? A distraction? Nella echoes, standing on the stairs. Marin spins around to face her, her expression aghast. Something for you, Johannes calls to her, pausing. A wedding gift. He pats the side of the cabinet, and its curtains seem to twitch. What is it, Senor? Made of oak and elm. Elm is strong, Johannes says, as if this is the explanation his new wife has been waiting for. He looks at Marin. It's used for coffins. Marin's mouth sets a thin line. Where did you get it, Johannes? Johannes shrugs. A man at the dock said they had some cabinets left over from a dead carpenter's business. I had it improved with a tortoiseshell veneer and pewter inlays. Why have you done this? Marin says. Petronilla has no need of such a thing. It's for her education, Johannes replies. My what? Johannes reaches out for Rozeki, but the dog barks from her master. Hush, girl, hush. She doesn't like it, says Cornelia the servant, who has followed Nella down the stairs. Nella wonders whether Cornelia is referring to her or the dog. Both of us, by the looks of it, she thinks, watching Rozeki's hackles rise. Cornelia holds her broom like a staff in front of herself, as if expecting an attack. Education? Marin scoffs, her voice full of scorn. What does Petronilla need with education? I should say she has a very great need, Johannes says. No, I don't think, says Nella. I'm 18, not 8. But what is it, Senor? She asks, trying to hide her dismay. Finally, Johannes reaches for the curtains, and with an extravagant flourish, he pulls them aside. The women gasp. The inside of the cabinet is revealed, divided into 9 sections, some lined with gold embossed wallpapers, and others with wooden panels. It is this house, Nella says. It's your house, Johannes corrects her, pleased. It's a lot easier to manage, says Cornelia, craning to see into the upper rooms. The accuracy of the cabinet is eerie, as if the real house has been shrunk, its body sliced in two and its organs revealed. The 9 rooms, from the working kitchen, the salon, up to the loft where the peat and firewood are stored away from damp, are perfect replicas. It's got a hidden cellar, too, Johannes says, lifting up the floor between the working and best kitchens to reveal a concealed empty space. The ceiling in the best kitchen has even been painted with an identical trick over the eye. Nella remembers her conversation with Otto. Things will spill over, he'd said, pointing his finger to that unreal dome. Rozeki growls and circles the cabinet. How much was this, Johannes? Marin demands. The frame was 2,000, he says placidly. The curtains brought it to 3. 3,000 guilders, 3,000! Invested properly, a family could live off that for years. Marin, you have never lived off 2,000 guilders in 1 year for all your herring dinners. And with Miriam's deal, what is there to worry about? Well, if you were doing something about it, I wouldn't be worrying. For once in your life, be quiet. Marin reluctantly stands away from the wooden construction. Otto appears from the kitchen and eyes the new arrival with interest. Johannes seems slightly deflated, as if sensing his gesture is beginning to backfire. The tortoiseshell casing reminds Nella of autumn in Assendelft, oranges and browns caught in motion, of her brother Carol taking her by the hands and spinning her around beneath the garden trees. Pewter has indeed been embedded through, like metal veins, fine and flowing over the entire surface, even the legs. There is an odd thrill in the wood and shell. Even the touch of the velvet curtains suggests a certain power. In Assendelft, Nella knew richer children who'd been given cabinet houses, but none so grand as this. Before her father had drunk away their money, there might have been a chance she'd have one too, smaller than this, a practice instrument so she might learn to manage her larders, her linen, her servants and furnishings. Now she's married. She'd like to think there is no need. Nella catches Johannes watching her and smiles. The hallway floor is identical, she offers, gesturing beneath their feet to where the black and white tiles span out. She places her finger delicately on the correspondent miniature squares. Italian marble, says Johannes. I don't like it, says Marin, and neither does Rozecki. Johannes snaps, well, that's a bitch's taste. Marin's face flames red, and she storms to the front door, slamming it behind her. Where's she going? Asked Cornelia, sounding panicked. She and Otto watched their mistress's progress from the front window. I thought it would be a good surprise, Johannes says. But, Signora, says Nella, what must I do with it? Johannes looks at her, slightly blank. He rubs the velvet curtains between forefinger and thumb before drawing them shut. You'll think of something. Johannes disappears into his study with the click of a lock. Otto and Cornelia make a quick descent to the lower floor, toward the working kitchen. Alone except for Rozecki whimpering around the hallway walls, Nella considers her gift. Her heart sinks. I am too old for this, she thinks. Who will see this piece of work? Who will be able to sit on those chairs or eat the waxen food? She has no friends, no family in the city to come and exclaim at it. It is a monument to her powerlessness, her arrested womanhood. It's your house, her husband had said. But who can live in tiny rooms, these 9 dead ends? What sort of man buys a gift like this, however majestic its casing, however beautifully made? I don't need to be educated, she says out loud. Rozecki whines. Nothing to be frightened of, Nella tells her. It's just a toy. Perhaps the curtains could be cut into a hat, she thinks, pulling them apart. As Nella stands before the exposed interior, it begins to make her uneasy. Its hollow carapace of elm and tortoiseshell seem to watch her back, as if its rooms are eyes. From the working kitchen she hears raised voices. Cornelia talking most, Otto's quieter replies. She places a tentative hand over the wood again. It has a cooling effect, compared to the velvet, hard as polished stone. With Marin out, and those 2 downstairs in the working kitchen, I could fetch Peebo and give him a fly, Nella thinks. Johannes wouldn't notice, and it would be good to see my Peeblet soar. But as she turns from the cabinet toward the main staircase, her thoughts catch again on Marin's distant keyhole, upstairs at the corridor's end. Forget this insult of a doll's house, Nella cajoles herself, drawing its mustard-colored curtains shut. You can go wherever you like. Blood-thumping, leaving Johannes's present stranded on the tiles, Nella makes her way upstairs toward Marin's room. Peebo quite forgotten. But her hallway bravado begins to feel flimsy. What if I'm caught, she wonders, her imagination surging as she scuttles along the corridor as quickly as her skirts will allow. What will happen to me then? Nella pushes open the heavy door. On the edge of Marin's sanctuary, the extraordinary sight within vanquishing all caution, she is caught short. Would you like me to continue to another place?